Hey Ange, how are you? I'm really thrilled to have this opportunity to connect with you today. You, my friend, are a superstar,
Oh,
and so
stop.
thank you so much for taking the time to be. I love this. I love this. So, for those people that are tuning into this awesome conversation that I'm having here today with Angela Costi from Intimo, based in Christchurch, I just wondered, Ange, can we please maybe just start today by you sharing a little bit about yourself so that those who are tuning in get a sense of who you are as a woman and where you are in terms of your Intimo
Sure.
business?
Hi, guys. Really great to be here. Well, I have been with my current company and the only company that I've ever been attached to, Intimo, for coming up 6 years now. And I started it very part-time. I'm a mum of three. I've got a 7-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And I went full-time with my business about 5 years ago. So yeah, it's been fantastic. I've learned a lot.
I know, I can only imagine. Three kids, got a business, and all of the joys and challenges that come
Yeah.
with juggling all of that, and
Mm.
yeah. Fantastic. Look, I'm excited to chat with you today because I've been watching you via Facebook and obviously through the work that I've been doing with Intimo. And you, over the last 12 months, achieved a phenomenal goal. And it's that we're going to talk a little bit about today because I know that many people that are going to tune in and watch this video potentially have some great goals that they'd like to go after. So, do you want to start by sharing a little bit about what was that massive goal
Absolutely.
that you had the courage to go after this past
Oh,
12
well,
months?
12 months ago, our company announced a huge incentive trip, and I love traveling and challenges, but this was definitely one that was going to stretch me, and it was to New York via Sydney and Hawaii, so it was just all the bells and whistles. And I really wanted to achieve this for a number of reasons. A few years ago, they went to New York, the company went to New York, and I goaled for that trip. And I really threw myself into it. It was the year I was having a significant birthday, and I wanted to be celebrating in New York. However, I didn't achieve that, and it kind of stayed with me. It was sort of almost a chapter not yet finished. And there was another reason I really wanted to achieve this goal is that the first time I had done this level of trip was for our London trip end of last year, and there was a part of me that was sort of wondering, could I do it again, or did I just have a great year? You know, it was so ironic that at the end of this amazing trip to London, the first thing that sort of settled on my shoulder was doubt. You know, it was like, great, you've done it once, you know, sort of, well, that's your shot sort of thing. So there was a lot of things ticking in my head going, okay, I really want to make this New York trip. Now, what makes it so audacious is that we have 12 months to achieve it, and the criteria to do that is $270,000 in either personal sales or there's a combination of sponsoring points and activity points, um, that you can earn over the course of that 12 months. So either way you do it, it's fairly audacious. So yeah.
Oh, look, I love that. And thank you for sharing because sometimes for people to get a perspective on what it is that you needed to do in order to qualify, it's great so that those who are tuning in can get a sense of the scale of goal that it is that you're going after. So today, Ange, we're very blessed for you to be sharing your top 3 tips. So in going after that very audacious goal, what were 3 things that you really needed to
Hmm.
focus on and 3 things that you remained committed to that helped you to cross that finish line? And you go,
Yeah.
yay! So what helped you to do that, do
So,
you
my
believe?
top 3 tips. Well, my first one is actually creating a bit of a vision board around that. So, I'm a visual person. I really respond really well to sort of visual cues. So, I did things like I set, like the Empire State Building on my phone, and I changed my ringtone, and I set my vision board that I look at by my desk, and I had little, a friend of mine sent me an apple, and I was going, oh, that's a bit weird. And she goes, like the big apple. So, so that sat in a dish, which also had an apple in it from another friend, just as a beside my bed, just as a sort of a daily reminder. So, creating those wonderful kind of visual cues around you that give you a little bit of a warm and fuzzy every time you see them. And I actually went on Trade Me, which is probably your equivalent of eBay in Australia, and I bought some vintage New York postcards, and I just kind of sellotape those around the house a little bit, and got a little bit New York in my place for about the last sort of 12 months type thing. So that would be tip number one, is to get excited about your goal and have a bit of fun around that. Create some vision of, what it is that you hope to experience and what's going to draw you through, the next, whatever the time frame is for your goal sort of thing. So I really like that. That was the fun part. That was the bit that came before the hard part. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like you're experiencing it before you experience it, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And so many of us are visual, and to remind yourself every day with some really cool visual goals, I think visual cues, I think is really important. So good for you. So can I ask you, what was on your ringtone?
It was, oh gosh, it escapes me now. Empire State of Mind. There we go. Yeah. A beautiful colleague of mine, Adina, sang that at our July conference. And, it's just sort of stuck with me. And it was really kind of groovy and hip. And, we'd ring each other and say, guess what's on the radio? And, yeah.
Gosh, I love that. And every time the phone goes, it's a really nice anchor. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. I love that. Tip number two is to create some cadence and accountability. So I was fortunate enough to have a few girlfriends who were wanting to goal for the same thing. And some of them had achieved a similar level of goal before, and some hadn't. So some were first timers, and some had come to London. So it's really nice that if you're going to be tracking towards something that's really going to test you and teach you at the same time, is to get amongst a group of girls that are wanting to achieve the same thing. Those that have done it before you, you'll learn from, and those that are following you, you'll help sort of teach and support and mentor. So it was kind of a nice, real collaboration there. And so I would say, get around those that want to travel in the same direction at the same pace, because often we've got a lot of people want to travel in the same direction, not necessarily want to do it at the same pace that you want to or need to achieve what you've set yourself on. Yeah. Do you know, and that's a really nice distinction, Ange, I think that you make there, because it's one thing to travel with those people who want to be going in the same direction, but the goal that you were going after was very time specific. And so there were things that you needed to achieve in that period of time. So partnering with someone who wasn't going to pace at the same rate as you wasn't necessarily going to spur you along. So I think that's a really important distinction that you make there, not just to be around people who want what you want, but who need to be at that same pace that you need to be at. So that's a really cool distinction. Thank you for sharing that. That's a pearler. I love that. I love that.
Well, I think just if we can just add on to that a little bit more too, Lindsay, is in doing or creating a little bit of an accountability kind of group is also to seek out mentors, whether they, when you're looking for a mentor or a coach, it's, gravitating towards people who have achieved that goal yourself. And I think that's so important, because they will have gone through any speed bumps and slumps and challenges, and they'll be able to sort of help you navigate through all of what is about to come sort of mentally and in your business and sort of things. So create an accountability group and also seek out some good business mentors as well.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, number 3. What was number 3 for you?
So tip number 3, I'm meticulous in my tracking. I don't know, I'm sure with other companies they'll have some sort of tracking sheet for goals and things which help you track your bookings and sales and recruit leads and all of that kind of stuff. And so I would say definitely get into the habit of tracking, because what gets tracked or what gets gets recorded can be improved upon. If you don't know how you're doing as a line in the sand performance in your business, you don't know where to focus your energies on to change the course of something that's not going that great. And as an example, it might be, for example, low party sales. And often, some people will think, well, gosh, I'm just not doing a good job. And when you really dissect that down, it's not necessarily that your sales skill needs improving. It might be your hostess coaching skills in order to increase attendance. So if you can really sort of detail all of that down, how are my bookings going? What are my attendance? What's my sale per person? What's my booking ratio? What's my own personal cadence? How many presentations am I doing? How many people am I seeing? And so if you don't have any of that raw data written anywhere, you can't really analyze your business and go, okay, where do I need to improve my skill sets? What skill in my overall kind of business caddy do I need to sort of pull out and go, okay, you know what, actually my customer care calls are really rubbish, or my hostess coaching is like in my head. So yeah.
I love that. Oh, my hostess coaching is in my head. Oh,
Yeah, I think I made that call. Yeah. I'm sure I incentivized my hostess to get great attendance because I'm amazing.
Oh,
Who would not want to have a party with me? I mean, you get there and there's two people and a disgruntled mother-in-law, and you think, oh, maybe it really was in my head.
yeah, and I love that, Ange, and it's interesting because I've been working with party planners now for more than a decade, and one of the things that I see time and time again is a lack of real understanding as to the state of an individual's business. And when you're going after a goal the size of the one that you're going after, you really need to ensure that you have your finger on the pulse of your business. And in fact, it doesn't really matter, big goal, small goal, if you have no idea as to the state of your business. As you say, difficult to know where you need to focus your attention and maybe tweak a few things and improve some things if you've got no idea what it is that's going on. So that is so important. And now you mentioned that you have a tracking opportunity through your company. For those people who don't have any of that, I'm going to share that I have created something called my Party Plan Biz that tracks every single component, absolutely every component of business, whether it's your sales, your recruiting, your bookings, everything. So people who are tuning in who have no tracking and who get the importance of that, you'll find a link to that underneath this video, because, at the end of the day, if you can't track it, you can't measure it. And that's a really important aspect. And I've seen so many people miss out just this much, Ange, this much, because they took their eye off the prize. They thought they were there, but they weren't there, and they weren't really tracking. So fantastic. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about, Ange, is it's a big goal. It's over a 12-month period, and a lot of stuff goes on in 12 months. So was this smooth sailing for you? I mean, sometimes people look from the outside in and go, oh, she's just got it all so handled, just really smooth sailing. Or was there some rough water in there that you needed to work your way through? Like, share a little bit about that.
Yeah,
that for you?
I think if you were to ask my husband and my kids if Mum ever came across any sort of rough waters, I'm sure half the reason why my husband has a receding hairline is because of my business goals, that I enforce upon him, and he has to listen to me in a way that no one else gets to listen to me when things aren't going right. And I joke that my IQ level at times were really high. Now that stands for I quit. I was tapping out, going, I'm done. This goal, it's too much. And there were tears and tantrums and stamping around. My inner 2-year-old was, she was great. She came to the forefront a couple of times. So I have to say it was a lot harder than going for London, in the sense that when I was tracking for London, I didn't know how hard it would be. So there was no benchmark. I was doing great, and my bookings were coming together, and my sponsoring was going great. And if I didn't make that trip, I was still a relative unknown. I hadn't done it before. And so second time round, I put a lot of pressure on myself to make, the milestones and the quarters of this trip to achieve it. There seemed to be more eyes, whether that was a perception or not, or just me going, I've got to do this the reasons I needed to do it were much bigger. And so when things didn't go my way, it felt like not just a small blip. It felt like, oh, this is hard. This is how much do I want it? And then I started to justify in my head, but it's been a good run. I didn't really want it anyway, and it's okay. And then I thought, that's not getting me anywhere. That's not it was interesting how my energy would go down when things were challenging me. And often, I would have one of my accountability buddies. More than often, she'd say, that whole, a pat on the back is just a few inches away from a kick up the backside. So pull your, just pull your lip up there. And I was looking for a shoulder to lean on. And, like, my business is really hard right now. You don't understand. And she's like, I understand. You just need to kind of suck it up, So, yeah.
And what's interesting there is, when you say you go to one of your accountability buddies, I think this is where it's important that you're working with people who get where you are and what it is that you're doing. Because when you go to someone who's in that beautiful circle that's supportive of each other, all going toward the same goal, and you say, you don't know how hard it is, you've got no idea how tough it is, they're going, yeah, I do, because I'm doing this thing too, So it's great to do that once again, because they get you, they understand, but they don't enable you to be stuck, which I think is
so
vital,
important,
because someone who won't buy into your BS,
absolutely.
That will be there and give you just like this much time to have a little vent, and then be right there to say, come on, girlfriend, you want this, you're capable, let's do this. But don't be there going, you poor love, I know how hard it is, you didn't really want it anyway. And you don't need those types of people in your world when you're goaling for something like this, So when you were in that slump, Ange, and you were in those murky waters, just briefly, how did you keep yourself moving forward? You've said that you had an accountability buddy, so I'm taking it that you might pick up the phone or connect in some way. What else did you do in those times?
I think what I decided on doing, and I don't like being vulnerable in my business. I'm a little bit of a control freak. I really love to kind of be in control, and I've got it all sorted, and I don't want to ask anyone for help, and being very independent. And I had to challenge myself to go, in order to achieve this goal, I'm going to have to really share my vulnerable side and go, I'm this close to it, but I've kind of exhausted all avenues, and really reach out to friends and colleagues and people to really say, look, without your help, it's not going to happen. Because sometimes there's that perception of like, you've got it sorted, you'll do it, you're great, and at the same time, none of that helps, because inside you're sort of thinking, well, actually, I don't have it all sorted, I don't know if I'm going to achieve it, and without your help, I'm not going to get there. So I really had to get on the phone. I did a lot of Facebook networking. My brother, who's never purchased Intimo men undies before, purchased a couple. I had a guy school friend over in the Gold Coast. He bought like 6 pairs of undies, and another one bought another 2 pair of men's boxes and said, look, I've got a girlfriend, spend another $400 on her. And I was like, well, is she like a girlfriend, or do you know, is she a sporting workout buddy? I go, doesn't matter, $600 on your card. And I was just kind of really putting it out there and trying to stay authentic to myself, and also true to the integrity of my business and my service, without compromising on that in order to just achieve the goal. So it's a really tough mental place to be, because you want the goal so much. I wanted New York so bad, and I said to my husband, how much can I put on the mortgage? And he's like, none. That kind of, can I just get $5,000 worth of bras? And it's like, honey, I love you, but no. So it's like pretty, I really commend my husband for not buying into any of my little wee pity parties. And so many times when you want to take the hurt away from loved ones, you say things to self-sabotage like, it's okay, you did a great job, there's always tomorrow. And sometimes that doesn't actually serve them. And he was so good and really restraining and not giving me any out. And he was like Switzerland. He's just like, I'm just going to be neutral and not give you any out. And you can't put $5,000 on the mortgage.
Oh, and I just love that. I just love that. And do you know what's really interesting is that vulnerability for women can be a really tough,
especially if they're control freaks like me. Like I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
I'm sorted.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you know, this whole idea that we've been raised to be independent women, but the truth, as I've learned it over the years, is that we live in an interdependent world. And so the whole idea that we're even independent in an interdependent world is fundamentally flawed. I mean, we can't even breathe without the trees. You know, like nothing exists separate of something else. And yet it's this illusion that we buy into that harbors so much struggle for so many people. So hats off to you, my friend, for someone who loves that little bit of control or the illusion that we have any, and then, you know, your willingness to open your heart and be vulnerable, because that is a tough gig. And, you know, I really take my hat off to you for that and for sharing with us today, because that's an important lesson for people to grasp in life and in business. So you, my friend, are a superstar.
Lindsay. I think too, when you're moving up in that leadership progression too, there's that mindset of, you know, sort of the leader thinking, you know, I should have this sorted, you know, I should know what to do, and why can't I get it together? And it's such a good place to recognize that it's okay to not have it all together, and what a valuable teaching spot that is when you turn that around for your team to go, you know, it's not all plain sailing, it's not all easy, there's a lot of personal growth that goes into a challenge like this, and don't ever lose the desire to learn and improve, even when it makes you vulnerable in doing so, kind of thing.
Yeah. You know, and it's been such a joy connecting with you over the last few months. And it's just been beautiful watching all of this unfold for you. And I'm so grateful to you for taking the time to share today, because you're a wise woman and you're really able to articulate your journey in such a way that I know that it will really support many other people who, like you, had a goal and you found the courage. And I trust that when people tune into this, that you'll inspire them to dig deep and have the courage to go for it, and knowing that you don't always get it the first time. And I think that's important as well. You mentioned that you've been for New York before and you didn't make it the first time, but you didn't take it off your agenda or off your radar, because the first time round it wasn't a successful thing for you. You went again, and that in and of itself takes courage, you know, to sign up for it a second time and go, come on, I want this thing. So what you've shared today has been completely golden. So thank you,
Lindsay,
for investing the time and energy and sharing your heart. You really are such a gorgeous woman. So,
I think
blowing you a kiss across
if
the
I
ditch.
can leave with one nugget of advice, I think really when you set your sight on a goal, is just commit, and commitment. It's a bit like being pregnant. You either are or you aren't. So you need to be all in when you commit. You know, there's no kind of just maybe, you know. So
yeah, I love that. No just
kind of maybes. You either are or you are not. So
yeah, I love that. And thank you so much. I look forward to watching you journey going forward. Do you have any other big goals on the horizon that you're going to be pursuing over the next 12 months?
Yes. I feel myself coming into another kind of phase and chapter in my business, and I really want to work with a couple of up-and-coming leaders in my team, and you know, we're collectively going to set some great goals on our horizon for the next 12 months, and there's another big incentive trip, of course, on the horizon, but I foresee, you know, a few more Kiwi girls, a few more New Zealanders getting on the plane and enjoying the incentives and conferences on offer that Intimo give us. So that's really my next 12-month focus. There's a bit of business depth and consolidation happening there.
Great. Well, we're going to be watching.
No pressure.
And keeping our eyes open. just from the sidelines, and as we do so beautifully. So thank you once again. You're an absolute star, and I'll look forward to tuning in and seeing how you're progressing over the next 12 months and beyond. So thanks heaps, Ange.
Bye, guys.
Mwah! Bye.